This here is Boom Studios and IDW Publishing's Godzilla vs. the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2 comic, issue number 1. This is obviously the sequel to the first Godzilla and Power Rangers crossover, and it begins with Rita's monsters fighting the white Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. For people returning to this story and wondering if this is a direct sequel to the first series, the answer is yes, it is. The White Ranger has a fragment of the multiversal focus from the first series, and he's on a world where Angel Grove is in the middle of reconstruction, and it seems the White Ranger is unable to control the multiversal focus. After Rita escalates the battle by making her monsters grow, Tommy calls for the Tiger Zord, and with that the Tiger Zord arrives. The White Ranger knows that it is not a fair fight, but now armed with a Zord, he and Saba now have a fighting chance. Just as the giant battle gets underway, Saba detects severe energy fluctuations. Ambient power readings are skyrocketing. The cause of these readings is none other than Godzilla. When Godzilla arrives on the scene, the White Ranger does not recognize it. Saba says it's not one of Rita's, but that the energy signature says that Godzilla is from this world. Godzilla begins attacking Rita's monsters. It also begins to attack the Tiger Zord. The Zord is too weak against Godzilla in its current mode, so the White Ranger activates the Tiger Zord's warrior mode. Armed with the White Tiger Thunderbolt, the Tiger Zord launches an attack on Godzilla, but Godzilla's atomic ray counters it. This causes the multiversal focus to activate again. A portal opens above the Tiger Zord and Godzilla, and both vanish. Tommy tells Saba they need help, but every dimension they visited, Rita has already been there and they're too late. The White Ranger eventually arrives at another Angel Grove. This one looks intact. Interestingly, Bulk and Skull are there with their names swapped. Either that's a production error, or the White Rangers arrived in a world where their names really have been swapped. I think it was an error. Anyway, the White Ranger dashes off and we skip to the command center. There, the White Ranger explains how Rita wants to conquer all of reality. We can even see Tommy wearing a green vest. This means that the White Ranger we've seen so far is not the Tommy we saw in the first series. Rita attacked the White Ranger's dimension and swept the other Rangers into the reality stream. She's doing the same with Rangers from other realities. The aim is to collect the Rangers and strip them of their powers. The White Ranger was able to track Rita down and steal a piece of the multiversal focus. The reason why the White Ranger has been unable to defeat Rita this time is because Rita has help from Astronomer. This Astronomer is from a different dimension, but she is willing to help this Rita out anyway. So as these two bad guys from different dimensions, and possibly time, team up, the Rangers do the same. Kimberly notes how they don't have a White Ranger, even though he said that his team is almost identical to Kimberly's. It's possible these Rangers may not get a White Ranger. It's possible that the White Ranger isn't even Tommy. His helmet remains on the entire time. Anyway, Zordon senses another multiversal disturbance. We then see Godzilla continuing the battle from before, against Rita's giant monsters. I'm going to say at this point that this series is really fast paced, and the drawings, especially the action scenes, are a letdown. Sometimes it's hard to make out what is actually happening across the pages and panels. The first series had similar issues. Back to the story, and the White Ranger learns that this set of Rangers have encountered Godzilla before, so this confirms that this team is the one from the first series. Zordon tells the Rangers that Godzilla and Rita's monsters will lay waste to Angel Grove, so the Rangers must use the multiversal focus to move the battle to a more isolated world. Jason tells the Rangers to morph. In space, Rita is trying to boss Astronomer around. She reminds Rita that she rescued her from the void. Rita should show some respect, or Astronomer's Psycho Rangers will cast Rita back into nothingness. Interestingly, only 4 Psycho Rangers are shown here, but that is soon explained away because Rita's magic has turned the 5th Ranger into Psycho Ranger Ghidorah, and that's where the story ends for now. So the first thing to get out of the way is that this is more than just another Godzilla Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crossover. This has now got Power Rangers in space thrown in too. It's an interesting direction to take for this limited series. In Boom Studios' main line of Power Rangers comics, The story has evolved over the years to include the likes of Astronomer, even though the stories at the end of the day are about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So is it really necessary for Astronomer to be included in this series as well? Although Astronomer is a fan favourite, I felt she didn't really need to be included in this. Having said that, I might be wrong. At the end, we saw Psycho Ranger Ghidorah, and it, or she, is human-sized. This might give a reason for the Power Rangers to have some battles on the ground this time round. In the first series, fights were giant battles because of the kaiju, like Godzilla, so Zords were involved. If the Psycho Rangers are fusing with kaiju, then there may be fewer Zord battles this time round. Let's see how things play out in the next issue.